we're going to have to end up arresting you, and we're going to take you down to the jail today, okay?
I got to call my daughter then and let her know. She's right down the street.
We can make that arrangements for you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we're going to have to make that call, so we can't have you.
79-year-old Mary Jo Bailey has been living in the shadows of a dark secret for the last 40 years. Hiding from the truth. Hiding from a crime that became one of the strangest and most baffling cases in Wisconsin history. The murder of Yvonne Mankey shattered her community. When the first patrol officer arrived on scene, he found the 40-year-old mother lying face down in a pool of blood. Investigators struggled for decades to piece together what really happened, until now.
On this Tuesday night, we begin with quite the interesting story. It's been nearly 40 years since a woman was murdered just outside of her apartment in St. Croix Falls. And today, 81-year-old Mary Jo Bailey was sent to prison for the rest of her life for doing it. The killing of Yvonne Mankey shook the community she lived in to its core.
During those 4 decades, detectives chased down every lead, re-interviewed witnesses, and pored over every scrap of evidence they could find. Time and time again, the trail led back to Mary and to a twisted, obsessive love triangle hiding behind her grandmotherly appearance. Because behind that harmless-looking face was a woman capable of something truly vile. 37 years of silence, 37 years of secrets. The weight of it all is almost impossible to imagine. Through it all, investigators kept a single goal at the center of their work: closure. And eventually, one tip, one final piece of information cracked the entire case open. At last, the district attorney's office had what they needed to file homicide charges. Around 6:20 a.m. on December 12, 1985, deputies from the Polk County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call from a panicked young girl in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. The caller was Julie, daughter of 45-year-old Yvonne Mankey. She told dispatchers her mother hadn't returned after stepping outside to start her car. First responders rushed to the scene, unaware they were walking into a case that would take nearly 40 years to solve. In the stairwell of her home lay Yvonne. She'd been shot 3 times with a .22 caliber weapon, at least 2 shots fired execution style. The killer was long gone. Yvonne was a kind, quiet woman, devoted to her children and known for avoiding conflict. Who would want to hurt her? 2 clues were left behind: footprints in the snow and a note in her bag that read, "Touch of Class MJL." Investigators began a relentless search. And in the center of it all was Mary Jo Bailey. Mary Jo and Yvonne were tangled in a love triangle with a man named Jack. He met Mary Jo through horse racing, and their relationship grew even as he continued seeing Yvonne. Tension between the women was constant. Police had no concrete evidence except a .22 caliber firearm in Mary Jo's home. Her alibi seemed airtight. The case went cold for decades. Then came reopenings in 2009 and again in 2022 when the breakthrough finally happened. After Yvonne's death, Jack eventually cut ties with Mary Jo and later dated a woman named Linda. On December 2nd, 2022, detectives interviewed Linda and struck gold. Mary Jo had harassed Linda and Jack for years, breaking into their home, vandalizing photos, threatening Linda by sending messages saying, "If you know what's good for you, leave Jack alone," and putting nails in Linda's tires. Then investigators learned that Touch of Class was painted across Mary Jo's truck in the 1980s. MJL matched her initials. Yvonne likely spotted Mary Jo stalking her and wrote down the note. By January 2023, investigators were ready to confront Mary Jo. The following dialogue comes from the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I've got so many doctor appointments that, because would you have to come back for a certain amount of time or right
basically it's coming back for a first hearing, bond gets set, we have some...
Do I need my attorney with me at that point, are you saying then? Or?
It's, you know, again, I'm not the guy who can give you advice on that because I'm not
I was wondering,
right.
I have an important one I got to go to because I have some internal bleeding.
On December 10th, 2 days before the murder, Yvonne's son James revealed something detectives had never known. In the years before the murder, the family received strange phone calls, always the same question. Are Yvonne and Jack together? On December 10th, the last call came. This time, the woman asked, "What time does Yvonne leave for work?" 2 days later, at that exact time, Yvonne was murdered. Mary Jo continues rambling through details, but the detective is narrowing in on inconsistencies. Her timeline is falling apart. Her memory suddenly becomes foggy whenever the topic gets close to the murder.
93, and somebody I talked to since told me that it had really been built up since then.
Yes, it has, within the last, I think, 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, they said you don't want to go out there and see
It's
it again.
really high priced down.
Okay.
A lot of big ranches out there now with reining horses and hunting horses. Big business.
And how far away is that?
I think 50 miles,
Oh, okay.
roughly.
So for here with traffic, that's like 4 hours?
She had on our GPS and we went down the 101 and around, and then when we came back, she's come around this way more. I'm not too sure. I haven't done that.
Sure. It's funny when for me anyway, I'm plugging in distances to restaurants and I'm like, oh, it's 7 miles. 29 minutes. So
Yeah, traffic. It depends on the traffic.
Yeah.
And the time of day.
Yeah, a little bit different. Well, thank you
Is
again.
that sun hitting you?
I'm good. Mark, are you good?
Yeah, we're good.
I just saw it was kind of hitting your paper and stuff.
Yeah.
We just have to
Thank
pull
you.
that cord.
Okay, sounds good. We no offense to Arizona and no offense to Steve, he's been great to work with, but we don't, if at all possible, want to come back to Arizona if we don't have to. So thank you for taking the time to be available and just kind of let us check the box and then we'll move on to other stuff, okay? I'm wondering if you can talk to me a little bit about Jack's family and more specifically back in like 85, the dynamics of
I knew his mom and dad, the sisters weren't around.
Okay.
His mom and dad were both alive at that time, and well, he had been out of work for a long time. He worked at Champion Aircraft, and when they left, he never found another job. I think that was some of his mental issues, and he stayed on the farm, and he thought he was going to inherit the farm. That's what he kind of thought, from what I understood.
Okay.
And then his mom passed away, his dad passed away first, then his mom, because this was over many years, but and then he found out he wasn't getting the whole farm.
Okay.
And then that's when he married this gal. She had money and whatnot, and went to where the son lives in Montana, Eureka, Montana.
And now she starts backpedaling about Jack's girlfriends, her involvement in his life, and her access to guns. The detective shifts the conversation back to the critical timeline of December 1985 when Yvonne was murdered. And when she says no, that's an understatement. Because Mary Jo wasn't just romantically involved with Jack, she was obsessed. At first, Yvonne and Mary Jo were both jealous of each other. But by the end of 1985, Jack had made his choice. He didn't want Mary Jo. He wanted Yvonne. That decision sent Mary Jo spiraling. She called a close friend crying, hysterical and nearly uncontrollable. That friend spent hours calming her down in a car just hours before Yvonne was murdered. And now, Granny here is about to lie through her dentures and explain that level of obsession as we were still friends and whatnot. Jim O'Rourke was one of Mary Jo's former lovers before Jack. And even after Yvonne's murder, the two stayed in touch. Years later, Jim would become a key witness when the case was reopened. Back in 1985, Mary Jo admitted to owning a .22 caliber handgun, but detectives couldn't connect it to the crime. When the case was reopened in 2009, they tracked Jim down, and what he told them changed everything. He revealed that Mary Jo hadn't just owned 1.22, she had access to 2.
So I'm going to go into that a little bit, okay? So back reading the police reports, there's a lot of talk about a gun.
Oh yeah, because I was trying to sell mine. What did I have at the time now? That was it's the .22 pistol I got, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Jim was going to try and sell it for me. He knew people. And so, but he gave me his 22 rifle in case I needed it. And because I had rats coming across my, down the road there was a farm, and then he had a garbage dump, which was right on my fence line. And when it got cold, the rats started coming. So I was shooting the rats before they got in my barn.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he had it.
And that was the rifle.
I had the rifle at that time then. He had my gun,
Okay.
pistol.
Okay. And you were shooting the rifle at the rats.
Well, I don't know that I ever had to use it. And because some had gotten in the barn one time too, and a skunk I had to chase out. But I don't think I ever used it.
Just weeks before Yvonne was killed, Mary Jo and Jim had swapped guns. Jim gave her his Remington Model 66 rifle. She gave him her handgun and later traded for another .22 in the days before the murder, the same caliber used to kill Yvonne. Now detectives needed to know why. Why trade guns right before a murder? And speaking of friends, let's talk about another important name in Mary Jo's story, the second Linda. This isn't Jack's wife, but Mary Jo's best friend at the time. To keep things simple, we'll call her LL. When LL was interviewed back in 1985, she defended Mary Jo completely, saying she could never do something like this. But 37 years later, in December 2022, she finally came clean. LL admitted she had lied and revealed something massive. Turn out, Mary Jo gave Jim a .22 pistol to sell immediately after the murder. She also gave him clothes to burn right after Yvonne was killed.
Is that maybe how you put it?
Yeah.
And back then I didn't even
Yeah.
think about it. I
So,
just said, I can't understand why he'd say anything like that, and that was my only answer.
yeah, and I'm glad we're talking about this because we're allowed to lie, okay?
Oh yeah,
Now Mark and I have worked this case for a long time, and we just have a similar personality. While I'm allowed to lie, I don't lie.
Well, a lot of it's just kind
Okay.
of twisting things a little.
Yeah, well, some of
Sometimes.
that is like there might be some information we can't tell you, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, I understand that.
right. So we
Yeah,
like
but
have
I mean,
to tap dance
twisting
around
something to
certain
get
things.
somebody to say something, maybe. Yeah, I mean that's the way I meant coming at
Yeah.
the other person.
Yeah.
And
So-
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah. So during our conversation here, while I'm not going to lie in the sense that I'm not going to shy away from straightforward questions
No,
because
that's
my
fine.
job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, that's the only way you get down to
That's-
figuring this out.
That's
And I wish we could figure it
Yep.
out. I really do.
and that's
It's a
our goal.
sad situation.
That's our goal. So, just so you know from where I'm coming from, if I ask you a question, I'm not playing tricks. If I tell you something, there's some degree of confidence behind it.
Yeah. Okay. That's
All right.
fair.
Okay. So Jim Moore, there is a tip that was brought forward that I don't even know a timeline. I'll say shortly after Yvonne was killed. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right? That you brought some clothes to Jim Moore's house, and either you burned the clothes at Jim Moore's house or Jim Moore burned them for you. I think the tip is not necessarily that specific, but the tip is from someone who we've interviewed and we've vetted pretty thoroughly. So there's a degree of confidence behind the tip, right?
Yeah.
This meant the gun trade wasn't a harmless swap, it was a cover-up. Now, detectives confront Mary Jo with that truth. Even with the tips from Jim and LL, detectives still had one more witness, someone who saw and heard everything. Yvonne's daughter, Julie. Julie was home that morning. When Yvonne left for work shortly after 6 a.m., Julie heard whip-like sounds from where the car was parked. She looked out a small bathroom window and saw her mother lying on the ground and a figure running away. She couldn't tell if they were male or female, but described as about 5'9" inches, with broad shoulders, a gray dress coat, and carrying a paper bag in their right hand. 8 years later, another witness came forward. He saw a woman that same morning who was middle-aged, short between 5'0" inches and 5'6" inches, wearing a gray knee-length coat, had 2 3-inch fur collar and a dirty hair peeking out. Sound familiar? But the biggest question remained. Was there any forensic evidence? The answer was yes.
I'll let Steve explain the process. It's fairly pretty easygoing process. Yeah, it's not like anything like this to get a hospital or anything like that. But just so you know, because I'm a straight shooter, I told you I'd be a straight shooter. We do have that, and we'll have to at some point collect that. Okay?
Yeah, like I say, I will have to get an attorney then to talk to them about it.
Okay, about the DNA?
Well, I
Or about
imagine,
just-
yes, I
about
imagine I should to be on the safe side for myself.
Are you okay to continue to have a conversation, or you just want to consult with the attorney? about
I'd
the
have to
DNA?
consult them about it and see what they say.
Technology has advanced since 1985. DNA, fingerprints, trace evidence, boot impressions, all far more accurate now. Detectives focused heavily on what new science could reveal. It wasn't just a size match, it was the rarity of the boots. Women's size 5, Arctic Cat snowmobile boots, had only 1,000 pairs sold nationwide between 1973 and 1981, fewer than 100 women's pairs shipped after 1981, and by 1985 had become completely obsolete, virtually none in Wisconsin. The crime lab confirmed that the tread design matched and heel wear matched and all overall characteristics matched. It wasn't absolute, but the probability that someone else had those boots and committed the murder was essentially zero.
So, Mark and I came with the goal of talking to you and from an adult to an adult addressing some of these concerns, okay? One of the best ways that we go about our investigation, because this isn't the first case we work other cases.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best things we do to try to eliminate or support whether or not someone was involved or they weren't involved is we ask them to take a polygraph. Is that something that you would be open to?
I was told before never to do that,
Okay.
and that's why I didn't before either.
Okay. How about now? Is there any? Do you have any thoughts on that? We have an FBI guy who that's literally all he does. He travels everywhere to do polygraphs. He's actually in town.
I don't feel, like I say, because I was told before not to,
Okay.
and by the attorney I had at that time.
Okay. All right.
So I guess I have to
You understand why we're
Oh,
asking,
I
right?
understand
Because
why you're asking.
when it comes to eliminating or supporting or excluding people,
But the polygraph isn't always accurate, that's the thing.
I'm not a polygraph examiner,
I know, that's
so
what I've been
so I
told,
can't.
and I've heard of instances, and that's where it makes me leery.
Sure. I'm not a polygraph examiner, so I can't really say much about that. I don't know what the statistics are. I can just tell you, in my experience, it's been a really good tool that law enforcement uses to steer in different directions, right? Like
Yeah, I
can't,
used to years ago, but like I
I
said, then after, and my attorney at that time telling me.
Sure.
Polygraph tests aren't usually admissible in court, and for good reason. They measure physiological responses that can fluctuate for all kinds of reasons: stress, nerves, even blood pressure. But while they can't prove guilt, they do help detectives gauge whether someone's story holds up or falls apart. But Mary Jo, someone who's dodged accountability for nearly 40 years, isn't the type to crack under pressure. Not easily. Mary Jo, even at her age, slipping out of every trap the detective sets is a reminder of just how manipulative she really is. Even the murder itself may have been a calculated move to break Jack down until the only person he felt tied to was Mary Jo. And there's evidence of that. Jack admitted that after Yvonne was killed, he felt tainted, as if no one would want him except Mary Jo. That was her dream come true, and likely her motive all along. Because Mary Jo insisted on an attorney, the interview came to an end. But this wouldn't be her last run-in with detectives. Almost a year later, after wrapping up their investigation, they knocked on her door one final time, bringing a 40-year murder case to a close.
Oh, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute?
I got a phone call here. I'll call you back. Okay. Yeah, okay. Bye. Bye. Yeah, what did you want?
I just need to you step out here for a second.
Yeah, I've got my pajamas on.
Hey, Mary Jo. Do you remember me? I'm Andrew.
From
We
Wisconsin.
were here last year.
Don't know if I do or not.
Okay, that's okay. I'm not very memorable, so that's okay.
Well, we have a warrant for your arrest. Okay? So we're going to have to end up arresting you, and and we're going to take you down to the jail today, okay?
I got some appointments.
You're not going to make those appointments, unfortunately. I'm
I know.
sorry.
I got to call my daughter then and let her know she's right down the street.
We can make that arrangements for you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
me see
we're
this
going to
real
have
quick.
to make that call, so we can't have you.
We
make
have
that
a
call.
search warrant for your house, and this is included in the search warrant, so we're going to secure this as well, okay? That's my
Oh, I
radio.
thought mine was.
Yeah, that's my radio. So this detective right here, she's going to place you in handcuffs and she's going to search you, okay?
Mary Jo's trial moved fast. By July 2024, she was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Yvonne Mankey.
A Wisconsin woman has been sentenced in a nearly 40-year-old cold case murder. 81-year-old Mary Jo Bailey was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility for parole after 20 years. She was found guilty in May of first-degree murder in the 1985 death of Yvonne Mankey, her boyfriend's other lover.
I pray now that you wear handcuffs, that I can break the handcuffs of guilt you once placed on me. I pray Mom can now rest in peace, knowing today is the day of your sentencing. The day your life will change, just like ours once did.
The case had been cold for nearly 4 decades before authorities picked it back up in 2021. Prosecutors combined old interviews, a potential motive, and a footprint from a snowmobile boot to convict Bailey.
After 38 years and 4 months, Yvonne's case was finally solved. Mary Jo will only be eligible for parole after 19 years. By then, she'll be 100 years old.